Can you guys hear me out in Zoom land? Okay, perfect. Thank you. Saw this online the other day, and I thought with everything that's going on with the shift and everybody's tired and things aren't going well, I thought this was pretty appropriate. It says, get up when you're down, to fight more intensely when you're struggling, to put in the extra effort when you're in sheer pain, to come back when nobody expects you to, and to stand tall when everyone is pulling you down, or what make a champion. So I thought that was rather appropriate with what we're going through these days. Oh, sorry, I gotta do this. Top 5. Lisa at 18.9 million. Sydney, you're up there at 11.2. Kara at 9.6. Brian at 8.6, and Jeff at 7.4. You guys are absolutely killing it. Yes. Our top 5 teams, Team Boyle at 32.8 million, Agent 509 at 12.4, Team Meloy at 11.8, Frontline at 6.3, and Team Dalbey at 3.7. Those are huge, huge numbers. Congrats, everybody. Okay, new listings from, and some of these slides are ones Ashley did, so I apologize if I don't know everything about it. August 5th through the 13th. The people that had new listings were Russ, Amanda, Armando, Aaron, Kristen, Jeff, Dale, and Brian. And Kara, you had one go pending in one day. 5 hours? Okay, I don't know if you guys could hear Kara, but she said hers that went pending in 5 hours was over in Burlington. It was 640,000, and the signs hadn't even gone up yet. So, and Anna Marie had one in 8 days. It went pending in 8 days. So congrats to all you guys. Listings are what we want. Closings from the 31st to August 4th, Kara, Aaron, and Isaac all had closings. So congrats on that, you guys. Okay, Market Watch. It looks like she's got last week and then the next week. So listings were down a little bit. They were more back on the market. 68 price reductions. She had one increase. It looks like there's more contingent sales going on. Are you guys finding that? There's a lot more contingencies. Expires went down. Pendings went up. That's a good thing. Listings sold went up, and the canceled went down. So looks like things are maybe going a little better. Are you guys finding that a little bit easier? Sorry, I'm just checking chat to make sure I'm not missing anything. Yeah, is it a trend we're starting, or? Okay, Ashley's very, very excited about this. So she put the family reunion slide in. That's next February. It's going to be in Las Vegas. So she's advertising early for that. And if you haven't been, I highly suggest it. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Okay, you're up, Russ. You'll have to. You might have to let.
Do your best, forget the rest. Right? Who said that? Tony Horton, good idea. Do your best, forget the rest. That's what this business is all about. Today, I want to announce 2 things. The beautiful thing about being in business with your sister, you can give her more responsibility and not pay her.
I know.
Welcome to the recession, people.
He knows I won't quit.
I shouldn't say recession. Yeah. So she's now also director of operations. What that means is kind of the buck stops with her. A little bit more internally of operations, like general management, things like that. So when she says jump, we all say how high, as my coach used to say. So congratulations for more responsibility.
For a longer title and less money.
Well, that's what I was going to become an owner. You guys are all owners. wanted to talk about that because I think in a shift, it's important that we remember that.
Don't forget to talk about it.
Well, I do my best and I forget the rest. Sorry, guys. Because what got us to where we're at as an individual agent or as a company team is not going to get us. And I think it's just important not to be thing or like nervous Nelly about that. It's realistic stuff. Because often in business, we sometimes
They can't hear you.
sorry for technical difficulties. Ashley was saying. So we're working as hard as we can. Anyway, the reason I'm bringing all that up is because we're going to have to work harder to get deals than we've ever worked, at least in the last 5 years. And it's good. Like I told a seller the other day, and tell me if you guys are having any of these issues, where sellers and buyers are whining a lot. A lot. Well, I told one of my sellers it's 3 times harder to sell a house than it was 6 months ago. And it's 5 times harder to close that deal once we get mutual acceptance. But here's the good news. A lot of people, if you watch different podcasts or news outlets, depending on who you listen to, some are comparing what we're about to go into as like 2008. A lot of people are. I asked the regional director of Keller Williams, for us, how does the spring of 2008 feel compared to now? He says very similar. Okay, I think it does feel very similar because it's an uncertain future. We've shocked the world with 7% interest rates almost overnight. We have this weird thing called the pandemic behind us. Well, I lived through 2008 and I got crushed in 2008 financially. But it was the best thing that ever happened to me, so I learned some stuff. And what I learned is sometimes, most of the time, you have to work really, really hard, which I call looking down and in, but you also have to look up and out. And you got to kind of work on your business, not just in your business. And you have to remember that it's your business, right? I think what we're doing, because I've been at this for 3+ decades, sounds weird, huh? Get this, who was born after 1989? That's fun. I was in real estate longer than you've been alive. That's funny. Not that I know anything, because the thing about experience and wisdom is the more you know, the more you realize you don't know that much. I was much smarter when I was 20, at least in my head. I think they call it cock. So now you're just ignorant based or learning based. We all better be learning based right now. We all better be flexible. We all better be paying attention to what we're seeing. We better be starting to look at those data points, because our sellers and buyers are unreasonable right now. So here's what I think's happening. This is the best way I can describe where I think we're going. I think we've been in Never Never Land for 5 years, called 3% interest rates and lower price points. Now we have 7% interest rates and higher price points. I think we're just going into normal. We're just going away from vacation, Never Never Land, to normal. I don't think it's 2008. I don't think the sky is falling chicken little. I think you got to work really, really hard in this business, and you got to work smart as well as hard. Can't waste time. You got to get to work, make some money, and go home to your families. And you got to be stern. I always tell people, there's one quarterback in a transaction, and it's not my client. I'll give you an example. I had a seller who I sold a lot to for $230,000 3 years ago. I just sold it for $365,000. It was an investment for them. I don't know about you guys. I think that's a pretty good return. The buyer has the feasibility study. During the feasibility study, the buyer wanted the well tested because it turned out that the neighbor walked across the land and said, "This well sucks." So then the well log, which was old, got thrown away, and the guy's like, "I want to know about it." Now, what does my seller think that's making over $100,000 in profit as an investment? I think it's bull, you know what, that I have to pay for the buyer's due diligence. So what do you say to that? Give me some ideas, and then I'll tell you what I say. Yeah. That's pretty good. Like that. Any other ideas? What would you guys say?
Hey, Ross, can you hear me? I have a question. Chris here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always better to come from a place of curiosity than judgment, and empathy than judgment. Unless they're a tech company CEO like this one. And I said, you don't have, I agree, you don't have to do that at all. I'll tell them to terminate the transaction. That's called controlling the deal. Because here's the fundamentals. I think, like on that deal, I'm actually a dual agent on that deal, so I think that I'm going to charge that seller like $18,000. If there weren't these challenges, do you think they'd pay me $18,000? Probably. If it was easy, right? If it was just like, let's do a deal on the back of a napkin, go have a drink, go to the title company, hoorah. But it's hard. Think about all the people that are involved in a transaction that we're quarterbacking. We have to align all those people. And think about how much time that takes after you get mutual. I've always said it's easy to get something mutual. It's hard to close. The work starts when you get mutual. Who agrees with that? If you don't, you're going to learn that lesson in the near future. Because it's in a shift when you have, all a shift is different expectations. And we have unmet expectations. How many people have sellers that said, but my neighbor a year ago sold for $700,000 and you're telling me it's worth $600,000 and they got for Mike and I have tile. I don't understand it. See, we have to remember that they're not in this game every day. They sell a house once every decade. So they're just like, that was only a year ago. You know, they didn't think about interest rates. They didn't think about inflation. They don't think about any of that, right? So part of it is empathizing with them that they're not saying it because they're just being jerks. They're saying it because they really believe it. And then this is about education. And that's where these stats come in a lot, because you can really show them, well, look at the trending. And the more familiar you get with math in a normal market, the easier it is to not be the guy that's emotional or to be perceived as judgmental because you're wrong and I'm right, just because. Because here's the thing is, you know, I don't tell people, when I'm on clients, I don't tell people, I've been this 30 years, you should listen to me. They don't care. They don't care because, you know what? I know a lot of people in this business. I saw a deal last week with an owner of a real estate company. You know what I'm talking about. I think it was you. The other agent you're working with that owns a company. Oh, yeah. And it was horrific. Like these deals are coming out of 1990. I'm bullshit doing that. It's not how I've done it for 25 years. God damn, I'm getting my horse and ride off in the sunset, you know? Yeah. And he's telling you, hey, how long you been in this business? 5 years? You're not telling me what to do. You're going to get ego, right? You're going to get ego. So you just can't let this stuff bother you. Well, here's the last thing I'm going to leave you with. I can find, I can't talk and not write. You guys know that? And the sales rallies are going to noon instead of 11:30 from now on. And here's why. This is the best time I have to talk to everybody. And I care about you. I really, really do care. And I can promise you that not everybody's going to get through this if they don't make some adjustments. What got you to where you're at, I promise you, if you do exactly the same, it will not get you to where you want to be. The ground is moving underneath us. Doesn't mean, just means we have to adjust, right? We talked about that. Who knows me well enough to tell me what that looks like? What that represents? I'm doing lines like this. Anybody know me? Yep. So now let's do this. Let's talk about this, right? Okay. So what happens during this time? Day one, what do we do? Yeah, we're selling, right? So right here, let's say this is building and selling real estate. Now what happens? We have a deal. What happens next? Maybe we have 2 deals that we created in this 3-month period of time. So now they're pending. Now what happens? This is our income, remember, over time. Roller coaster of income. Title, escrow, loans, attorneys, boundary line adjustments. We're quarterbacking all these affiliates. What's our average commission right now? Like, is that the average price, you think? We're analyzing these numbers right now. Looks good. A little bit higher, so maybe 500, we say. That makes the math easier. What's the average commission? I think it's 2.5. Does that sound right? So can somebody tell me what that number is? 15,000? Okay, so if we had two deals, we're talking about 30,000 in GCI when they close, right? How many deals does it take if you hire a transaction coordinator to get some of your time back? Would it take a month to make it worthwhile, or 3 months or 6 months? When you think about this math, and there's two parts to it. TC work, right? That's all this work. This is transaction coordinating. That's, who knows what this means? Yep. What's the leverage stand for? Getting your time back. What's a fundamental rule in business? Lead with revenue. Try not to pay salaries. Try not to pay for things as it happens. Pay for it when you get paid. Okay, that's hard to find. I've tried 3 virtual assistants in my life, and none of them worked for me. I know many that work for other people. I must be kind of a demanding jerk. I don't know. But here's the thing. We're lucky enough to hire somebody in the back of this room who I've known a long time. Just how many deals have you closed for me? We've known each other a while, and I'm fairly demanding. Huh. See what we should do, transaction coordinator. It leads with curiosity, not judgment. Love it. It's built into her. She's also a solution-based thinker. That's critical thinking. I asked her to give me another escrow agent's cell phone number over the weekend. You know what she said? I don't have the cell phone number, but she's a Facebook friend of yours. You should try instant messaging her. I bow down to that answer. Most people say, nope, figure it out, dude. A good transaction coordinator has a solution for every objection. So what we're doing right now is we're writing together the boundaries of which, because a transaction coordinator is not an agent. So they're not going to do your job for you, but they're going to keep track of details that do a couple things for you. Keep you out of jail. You know, like a jail to me is when you miss an inspection, you forgot to tell the guy, he signed a 10-day inspection, and it's now the 12th day, and he went on vacation, and now he says, well, I'm going to go look at the roof tomorrow. Oh, the roof needs replaced. I'd like my $15,000 earnest money check back, please. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you, your inspection expired while you're on vacation. Guess who eats a bullet then? You and me, us, because we were not quarterbacking plays correctly. And we can't call the plays. If we do, we end up doing this. We sell, we close, we sell, we close, we sell. And this is almost everyone in business. Here's what we want though. We want pin zipper. Here's how we want it to look. This is your money. This is time. We don't like this stuff. It's going to happen naturally. Even if you do everything perfect, you're not going to close every deal. You're right. My God, if you could just write one extra deal, or you can close one extra deal, and let's say it costs $500 that you have to pay up front. Oh, just kidding. Pay to closing. Not coming out of money you don't have. This is the key. This is why I am using it. All my deals go through her now. Time. How many people know what this means? Rule of 168. It's a universal law in the world for every human being and every animal, every plant. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We all have, Elon Musk has the same number of hours, can you believe it, that we do. That guy's weird though, he's a mutant. But I'm just saying, he might be an alien, I think. With leverage, we can be whatever we want to be. So here's the problem. When I say $500 a deal, and I tell you the boundaries, you know what some people do? I can do that. Can you? Are you winning? Is your trajectory where you want it to be? Because it's not going to get easier, it's going to get harder. So what are you going to do to change your world? Because if it's, let's say it's twice as hard to sell real estate, how are you doing now relative to twice as hard? What adjustments are you going to make? In 2007, people came to me and I had a giant net worth and a lot of money and from scratch. And they said, you should probably do this and this and this and this. And my brain said, I can sell Eskimos. I live in Lake Chelan. I don't care what recession happens. I can sell real estate. Then I was broke in 3 years. I would have made 3 different decisions. I had to take in the world. I didn't. I let my ego, I let my brain think I knew what I was doing when I didn't. I didn't listen to people that had more experience than me about this because I had never experienced this. And when I got into the business in 2008, it was a pretty damn good run. Had a couple of blips, no big deal. So you got to get your time better. So here's the problem. When someone doesn't like this idea, here's the problem. They think this, they truly believe this won't change. Because it's not logical to assume if I did one more deal or I saved one more deal or both because I didn't have to call 75,000 people, right? That doesn't make any sense to me because if you're, the more you do this work, the more you lead generate, the more you talk to people, the more you set appointments, the more money you make. You can't do that if you're closing deal. I look at a deal when I sign it, it's already closed. I'm really good at counting my chickens before they hatch. I believe in it. You can have fear, faith, can't have both. Here's the problem. How many transaction coordinators are going to do it like you do? Not very many. That's why I brought it in-house with somebody that I've closed thousands of deals with, literally. That knows how to do this damn job. Now, she has taken, can I talk about this? Money. Okay. She's an open book. That's why I do. She took a giant pay cut to come work. Hey, because she's cool. She has fun. She likes Kelly. She doesn't like me that much, but she likes Kelly. And she knows she can do a kick-ass job transaction coordinator. And so she's going to get the majority of that money, about $500. We're going to put the boundaries together because what can't happen is you become the agent and work 24 hours a day on with one person. You know, here's what we do for the money. $500 out of this. There's still, who wouldn't mind making an extra one of those in GCI every month? What I'm doing right here is the last thing I'm going to tell you, I promise, until the next last thing. This is what you want. This is how it really looks. This is called the ceiling of achievement. This is your level of business. This is how much business you're doing right now. Do you ever feel frustrated that you like a constant battle? Anybody? You guys are quiet. You might put some AC/DC on or something. What the hell? You're asleep. To break through this ceiling of achievement and make another ceiling of achievement, talk about, let's say 60 grand more a year. Would that be nice? If you're making 40 here and making 60 there, 100 grand, that sounds good. Okay. Well, one of two things, system or that third L. You must decide what you're worth. If you're worth $5 an hour, never hire somebody to put up your sign for $20. Why? Because you're losing $15 an hour. However, maybe we could put together the next move that I'm going to make is a sign installation company. I saw that stuff on Facebook, and I don't know if you read it, but I said, this is fascinating. We haven't done this. I'm going to put this company in a position to world dominate for the people that want to go with me. We're going to make some changes. These changes are for the good because nobody else is going to make changes. I call it the ostrich approach to adjustment.
You can't see me, I can't see you, I'm safe. My head's in the sand. That's ostrich approach. I don't look at, I want to look people in the eye and beat them. Get a little competitive because we're self-employed. So to do that, leverage is the key. So what if I told you this is just step one? And step two, we have a sign guy. We help pay him, but we pay him at closing. How many people would rather not put up signs again? How many people would not have their signs not returned that were bought? You know how many? I bet I could buy a Tesla in my career right now for how much money I've just left. But I've rationalized, I'm very good at rationalizing because I leave my sign up until they get pissed. If one more person sees it, it was worth it. You got to see the big picture, right? Got to see the big picture. So maybe the next one is lockboxes. I had a guy, I sold something in like whatever town it was over there that they all run together. I can't even remember what it was. And I left the lockbox on, and the sweet little old lady 3 months later, hi, my name's Bethany. I bought this house from you. Are you going to get your lockbox off before Christmas? Super sweet. I'm like, God dang, I got to drive 4 hours to get a lockbox. No, I'm going to call a buddy of mine. That's leverage. That's leverage. So start thinking about what we're worth per hour and how do we change this? One way is have the right habits lead you in 3 hours a day. Seems simple, huh? Evidently not, because nobody's doing it, but I know of consistently. And leverage, starting with transaction coordinating. So Vanessa's going to call, she's putting together a contract, putting together the boundaries of that contract, the expectations of that contract. And of course, I'm not going to mandate it to people that are independent contractors, but I'm going to strongly suggest you think about this deal because very few people have that level of intelligence in escrows in the building like ours. She's a licensed LPO. We could actually open an escrow company tomorrow. Something to think about, okay? Because here's the thing, my dad used to say this all the time. Very difficult to go forward when you're standing still. Any questions? Right.
We love Russ's rant.
You bet.
Aaron has a question.
So, you know, what? It's the door? Oh. Oh. Oh, they mean the currency? Yeah, we're from AAA and like double. Yeah, I would, here's what I try to do. There's three, I have an econ degree, believe it or not. I don't know. I made it through, got a degree in econ. I did love econ. So there's three types of econ: microeconomics, macroeconomics, and international economics. There's a bunch more. I think on the macro level, I don't worry too much about it because I can't control it. We're still, if you really think comparatively speaking, any other place in the world, we still are the world leaders. So, I mean, I'm not qualified to sit here and debate with some of my clients what's going to happen about it. I do believe that inflation's kind of calming down, which is important because that affects pricing. But I mean, we just kind of have to work with what we have, right? We have to just, I tell people this when they ask me, like, is it a buyer's market or a seller's market? I said, well, one day out of every decade, it's a balance market. So we're either going into a buyer's market, coming out of a buyer's market, balance market, going into a seller's market, coming out of a seller's market. But guess what we do? Whether it's July or February, we're selling real estate. So we adapt and we overcome. People die, people get divorced, people graduate high school, they graduate college, they get jobs, they get transfers, you know, they're investors. There's all these ways to do this real estate game. You just have to adjust. So I don't think I'm smart enough to predict what's going to happen, but I do believe it's not 2008. I also know we've never had 33 trillion in debt. I mean, do the math on that. It's impossible to pay it off, I think. I don't even know.
So who knows? But right now, I know we live in what I tell people, we live in a very, very beautiful place. And here's what's exciting for me on the demand side of the curve, meaning how many buyers we have. For the first time in history, people can make money at home, and a lot of money at home, right? That's really never happened before across a lot of industries. So to me, that's like saying, hey, we have a brand new buyer that we've never had. That's moving to Wenatchee, that's moving to Cleveland, that's moving to Lake Chelan, that's moving to Leavenworth, even if they have to go back to Seattle for 1 or 2 days a week and have an apartment over there. Okay, well, that's not even, how do I test that? How do I quantify that? I don't know. But when I look around, I see a lot of people buying here that didn't live here before, and they're 30 years old with 2 kids. And I'm like, who are you? At least in Lake Chelan, not too many of those people came because they had to make money in Seattle. Yet how many have sold real estate for a while said, if I can make the money that I make in Central Washington, I'd move here tomorrow. I have to go make money at Boeing and Everett or whatever, right? Now they can. And not just tech, attorneys, insurance companies, medical sales, headhunters, yoga instructors. AI is a wild thing. We're just getting into it. It's allowing people to do crazy stuff. And I did a video, I don't know, I posted a 5-minute video. I talked about balance. Because how many people you hear on the social media? Bullshit developers. I hate those people. Or I hate these Seattle 206ers ruining our town, bringing their ideology with them. They're bullshit. Okay, well, if we don't develop and don't build another house, I'm pretty sure prices go up. Because my dad told me a long time ago when I was getting in trouble, there's always somebody tougher than you. You just haven't met them yet, but you will. It'll be a bad day for you. And there's always somebody richer. And if you live in a beautiful place and now they can make money at home, I think we're in pretty good. I think our biggest challenge for us is supply right now. You ever heard of golden handcuffs? 3% interest rates on a 30-year mortgage. Even though you have 100,000 in equity or 200,000 in equity, we have a lot of equity in this country right now. And we need to build like 3 million more homes to catch up. But they're not going to leave that mortgage. So that's how we have to have more conversations about finance and have to become more educated about buying down rates, enhancement loans. You know, for people that are renting, it's 100% interest rate. So you got to show them how we can get their payment in alignment. So being more experts, and trust me, we're going to be keep bringing more people here. What I hope to see is this kind of stuff where people are here in this building, because I believe that's where we're heading. Does that answer your question, Aaron? I mean, it's kind of a long-winded answer. Yeah. Well, I can guarantee you this, if you don't look at social media, you're going to be a happier person. A lot of people hate me on social media, but they never tell me that. It's kind of like the old days when they talk about you at the coffee shop. And I used to say this, if I'm not being talked about at the coffee shop, I'm not working hard enough. Because you'll never have arrows in your ass if you're not in the lead, people. So I liked it. I loved it. Well, they just didn't tell me they were talking about me. Now they're social media. So of course, you know, Joe Rogan has 40 million listeners an episode or something. How many people hate him? He said if like 1% is millions. Imagine millions of people hating you. So it doesn't mean much, you know. What I recommend, generally speaking, is don't engage if they're attacking you. Just don't engage, because that's just a non-win. There's no winning in that. Just keep doing you and keep trying to improve your business, because you must continue to improve. I must continue to improve. That's what shift means. You know, they're not having these talks at other companies, by the way. You know what happens at other companies? The broker just does more business. The broker owner just says, thanks, I'll just do the business now. I'll do the 5 deals. That's all I got. I'll be the one doing 5 deals. I don't want that. I want us to all win. And that's why I'm trying to teach some very fundamental things that take risk and take courage to change your behavior. But if you do, you will separate yourself from the herd, I promise.
Vanessa's been calling everybody, you know, to introduce her.
I was surprised how many people don't have their voicemail set up, or that they're full. You don't check your voicemails. It's hard to get business if you don't have that set up.
Yeah, and one last thing, it's okay if in this company, we have a lot of people that are not in it full time. That have jobs. That don't want to be in it full time. They just want to do a deal here or a deal there, or just be a referring agent. That's cool. What I'm really talking to are the people that want this as a career. That's who I'm really focused on, because if you want it as a career, you can have whatever you want, but it does require a hell of a lot of work and commitment and trust. That's all. I mean, so if you're not who I'm talking to, just know that I'm not beating you up, because that's cool. There's a home for everybody in this company. That's what's cool.
Okay, he's done. I gotta try to get this back so I can find. Lauren. I'm trying to go to the next.
Notice of continuance, for example, those need to be applied for at the county head. So if you're not understanding what something is, I can certainly answer that.
Gonna pin Michael, but I won't go to that slide.
From 10 to 11 on Tuesdays,
So you gotta click.
she's gonna be making a point in her calendar
So, see when you
to
have
field
a-
questions.
See the,
So if you're
Oh,
thinking about a
gotcha.
title or an escrow question and you want to have a one-on-one or a small group or all of you, from 10 to 11 on Tuesdays before the sales rally, her calendar's free. Thanks, Vanessa. You want to get up there?
Well, I think I already introduced myself last time. But like you said, this isn't really going into fruition next month, but we'll have more to say once we've got things nailed down, like you said.
For those of you that can't hear, Vanessa was just saying that once things get nailed down, like towards the end of the month, then she'll have more information for you. Okay, Michael, you're up.
Can you hear me okay?
Uh-oh.
How's that?
I can't hear you. What do we do, Lauren? Sorry, we're having technical difficulties. Ashley's not
Alright.
here.
I think Zoom can hear me, right?
Let's check on our audio settings. Okay, nope, come back. Why does it want to go away? There we go. Our speaker to be, let's try that.
How's that?
Michael, you want, nope, he's still,
Check.
all right, let's,
1, 2, check.
there we go. Okay, so we got some audio here, but it's tiny speakers. So,
I'll talk loud.
All right, talk loud. Is that good enough? You can hear me kind of?
Yes.
All right. So I won't take too long. Just kind of wanted to talk about not limiting your buyer pool. So we get this a lot as lenders, where agents come to us or we see listings that don't have specific financing types listed as an approved financing type. And I just wanted to caution everybody, when you list that, you can really limit your buyer pool accidentally and kind of shoot yourself in the foot. An example of this, we had a single wide manufactured home. This was a very unique case, but a single wide manufactured home that hadn't had title eliminated yet. And it was down payment assistance, it was a rental, or the people that were purchasing it are living in the home currently and they're renting it out. So they're wanting to purchase it from the landlord. So automatically, this was on the west side, this particular agent said, there's no way this can go FHA or really any loan type because it's not eliminated. But they were in the process of getting the title eliminated, which we've done quite a few times on manufactured homes, or we've worked with title companies to do that. It's not a super hard process. But regardless of that, single wide manufactured home, down payment assistance, purchase, they were kind of saying, no, this has to go conventional if it's going to go any other way. And we ended up kind of coaching everyone involved, saying this can definitely go FHA. There might be some stuff that needs to be done to the property that the seller can do, or even the buyer in this case, because they live there, cut some stuff away from the sides of the building, so on and so forth, make it so it's actually financeable FHA. So this is really popular with FHA, VA, and USDA. I just want to caution you that if you do have a property where the initial train of thought is this cannot go, reach out to us and just ask us questions, because we have a plethora of knowledge on what can and cannot go FHA or VA. And I can tell you this, anything can go FHA or VA aside from condos. And even with condos, there's a way to get around that as well. So never pigeonhole yourself into one type of financing just because it might be easier. You know, you obviously have the basic things that properties need to meet as far as minimum property standards, but any property can typically go FHA or VA. It's just a matter of how creative you want to get. I would share this, but I don't want to, you know, create any more technological issues or anything, but I have a picture on one of my screens, and it's basically the back of a building. It's the back of a home that has no deck. And what ended up happening on this particular home is the deck was completely rotten. So rather than have to get it removed or get it fixed and delay things, the sellers flat out just removed the deck and they blocked it off and built this makeshift permanent railing around the door so that it was now what do they call it? I don't remember what they call it. It's like a princess balcony or something where you can only lean over it. That might not be the okay term nowadays, but it's something like that. So there's all sorts of creative things that you can do just because something's rotting away or it looks like it needs to be replaced. There's some really creative things that we have the knowledge of how to get around them without making the seller's life you know, a lot harder. So just keep that in mind, that when you are putting a listing up, don't assume that it can't go a certain financing type. Just reach out to us and at least ask questions and we can give you an idea. And at the end of the day, it's really just sending pictures or getting us out there to say, hey, this is kind of what we're looking at as far as this particular issue. Do you think this would get called out? And then we can at least give an idea of what we might do to help get that around an appraiser. Any questions on that? Yes, no, maybe so. Hope that made sense. All right.
Well, look, if anybody has any questions.
Good to remember that those things can be financed.
Yep, they said that information is extremely helpful.
Good. Yeah, it can definitely, there's always a way. So just remember to reach out and don't ever assume, as the old saying goes, this business, you just don't know what you don't know. And Russ mentioned getting super familiar with enhancement loans, getting super familiar with buying rates down. There's all sorts of strategies right now that we're implementing. So don't just do things the way you've always done them. Always definitely reach out. So yeah, that's all I got.
Okay, thank you, Michael. And I apologize for the technical difficulties. Ashley will be back next week and it'll be much better.
That's all right.
Okay, now it won't move again, Lauren. Vanessa says she's got contacts in both counties for mobile homes. If you have any questions, just reach out to her. Why will that go away? This is just. Okay, business planning clinic, Rebecca Del Pozo is going to be here October 25th from 10 to 2. Teaching that QR code. It is a $30 charge for the class, but it's well worth it to come and listen to her, and we will provide lunch. And there's just some more stuff. She had this up last week about Rebecca. Slip and slide, Sarah.
Yeah.
You want to come over and talk about it? They can't hear you because their speakers are where you have to talk to the computer. Talking to my computer.
I love that we have these lines. So it is, it's something, I think we're like 2 a.m. It is a blast. So this will be the 4th year that I've been working. We do it down at Wallet. But we thought it would be fun to kind of bring it if you want. You don't have to, of course. I just to kind of give you an idea. I don't know if anyone's heard of it before, if you've ever done it, but with the contractors plastic. And it's about 50 feet we do in between, and the bases are kiddie pools. There is soap and water, so that's kind of the fun of it, is running around the base, and it's a blast. Yeah, that's it.
Sounds like fun. I'm bummed I won't be here. I think we'll go by that one since my system's not working. Ignite with Russ every Wednesday from 1 to 3. They can't hear you. There's a substitute for tomorrow. Who's your substitute? A mystery guest, so you all better show up. Objection handling with Sarah and Seth, the 1st and 3rd Wednesdays from 3 to 4. What's tomorrow? Is it the 3rd? And then tech training with Ashley every 2nd and 4th Wednesday of every month from 3 to 4:30. Tech talk. Does anybody have anything they want to say about tech? Other than it kind of sucked today, sorry. Brokers tour tomorrow morning at 9. I don't know, Ashley will be here. I know she normally carpools, so I don't know if the rest of you are meeting here. Nicole will be here if anyone wants to stop by and ride with her. And that's all I have. Do you have closing thoughts, Russ? You look like you do.
Would really encourage everybody, or when you get neutral, and I'm assuming that you're letting the broker deliver Form 7, please look at it. There are 3 things I look at. Is it fully signed? Is it fully filled out? And are there any asterisk yes answers? And if there are, I don't care if they're God. He needs to write in an explanation for that aspect. Because I look at them 3 or 4 times. I'm so tired of Form 17. So just look at it and take a minute, because you want to protect your buyer. You want to protect your seller. And I can't tell you how many I'm doing that is the day before they're closing and they want to get paid, and Form 17 isn't filled out.
Yeah, I mean, and you guys know why. You know, big deal. But
Well, if you're running yourself, this buyer pretty much wiggle out. Even if they sign an acknowledgement, given that, unless they sign, everybody in the latest. The buyer side of things, this I was talking about this week. There's some case we made for it. Strategic. If you get an incomplete, that you keep that in the back pocket. If you find something that just, I don't know, for whatever reason, it's a contingency.
well, that's quarterback issue, right? Pointed out, because maybe it's just this on cellar, sewer or septic, not filled out. Well, if your buyer's not paying attention, that's us quarterbacking. And maybe they care about that. But if it's something that's irrelevant to them, the strategic part is I am now, it's called voidable. It's unilaterally voidable up until the day of closing. And they get their earnest money back. So that's the strategic part. If you want an exit strategy, go ahead, Isaac.
For each, because I get pushback from agents to ask the agent representing the seller to correct the form 17. And that's what we're asked to do on demand.
Auditors will look at it, and all you can do, at least that's what I've been telling people to do, is when you first get it and look at it, it's not, all you can do is ask if they will complete it, and if they say no, just have that in writing, put that is an additional document, and that'll cover you.
Well, and it's not necessarily an auditor issue as much as it is like a potential liability. Because your client, if it doesn't go their way, will look to your negligence. And that's, we can't fill them out, but we sure as hell can ask for it. And then we have to give the buyer the choice. We have to tell them, look, this seller and this seller's agent are incompetent.
Would it work without the intro?
I wouldn't make the
No,
judge.
if you're buyers.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, your job is to tell them that you've asked for this for them. It's incomplete. What would you like to do? In writing, because here's the problem with some people that you might have met in life. They have these things called convenient losses of memory. It's weird, especially when they get divorced halfway in escrow, then it gets real fun. You know what I mean? So these things happen, right? The world changes. So if you tell them, look, this is the seller did not fill this out correctly. Are you cool with that? Or do we want to kill the deal because we can kill it right now? If they say no, we're cool with that. Just get that in writing. But there's nothing wrong with asking an agent to be professional. I mean, like you dealt with last week, it was, I mean, that was a joke, right? Yeah, well, and that's job security, because that work, that challenge, that's job security for us, you know? Mhm. Yeah, well, he's unprofessional, and the reality is we're not going to change that. There's just people of all types. All we can do is be professional, and we can explain to our buyer why we're being professional and what the consequences might be if we're not. And they can choose to not do a deal with that guy, and we can file ethics complaints against people, and I'm cool with doing it, especially people that are arrogant. I mean, I had a guy tell me one time, been in business 30 years, and I was probably in business 5 or something. And, but maybe 10, it was after agency law was invented. And he said, oh, I know everything about this. I go, do you know what RCW 1886 is? Called this thing called agency law. Have you heard of it? I don't know what you're talking about. It doesn't matter to me. And I said, oh, well, that's interesting. You know, the entire law had changed about who we represent. And he was still representing the seller all the time, like we did before that. So it's not an excuse for us. We're going to be held liable because somebody else screwed up unless we disclose everything. And it is a pain. First question I asked almost every one of you when you call me about mistakes or challenges I made, I go, who's the agent? That's my first question. Why do I ask that? Who's the agent and where is he working? Well, because I know most of them, not all of them, but I know some of them that are problem children. And I know what we're going to be up against. And I've always said the hardest part about this job is working with other agents that are uneducated and not held accountable and don't pay attention. You know, they fly through their continuing ed. Yeah, but I'm telling you, man, one lawsuit's 20 closing. So I use this to my sellers or people like that would not do it. I go, I like your style. I kind of use reverse psychology on them. So a guy's been around a long time. I'll say, I like your style, man. I loved it when we could do a deal on the back of a napkin. The problem with a deal on the back of a napkin, we could do it again. We just have to get along for about 3 generations. And that makes my point. Like, it's fine now. What about a year from now? What about 2 years from now when the thing floods and they said they forgot to check whether there was a book leak? Or you find something that was hidden that they covered up and committed fraud and you didn't have it, it was blank, man. And then you have to go 2 years later, go find a lawyer, go back in time, and trust me, that's what lawyers. So paperwork, disclosure, and hopefully in a shift, those kind of people will eventually leave. Because most of the time they do, most of the time. That makes sense, Isaac? It is a pain in the butt. Trust me,
I don't kill the messenger. Me.
yeah, I mean.
Mhm.
Mhm. Mhm. That's exactly, it's good cop, bad cop, right? Do that on commissions too, is some other advice, because you're gonna be getting beat up on commissions as you go through a shift. Because the neighbor got 100 grand more than I'm getting, and you're charging me what? So Emily asked me yesterday, I wants to pay her half as much if she does a dual agency. I'm like, well, here's some scripts. One of them, and the easiest one that I've always told people is lose your ego. And just say, I don't have the authority to make that decision. I need to talk to my designated broker, Russ McClellan, and most of the time, he would like to talk to you before we can make a decision. And you just pass the buck to me. And 90% of the time in my career, nobody wants to talk to me. They're just bullying you because they think they can. So you're not the bad guy that way. I just work for a company that has rules. You know, maybe you can explain it to him why you shouldn't have to pay us. You know, there's a whole bunch of other stuff that I can go through scripts on how to, you know, we can do that about handling that commission objection. But your point is absolutely the best way to handle it. My compliance department, you know what? And then you can add like this, you know, litigious societies, like, you think it's getting less litigious or more litigious? That's always getting more litigious. And lawyers' kids like to go to really good colleges. And they make money on conflict. How many lawyers go, this will be easy, let's not charge. Friction makes money if you're a lawyer. So anyway, that's a great way. Most people are bullies only to you, not to everybody. So they're usually on the phone. So another advantage that I like to do is go get in person. Sit down with people and get off the text, get off the Facebook message, get off the Instagram, get off the email, and go meet somebody in person and make them look you in the eye and tell you what they want to tell you. You'd be amazed at how many people will yell at the referee from the bleacher seats that have never put on the stripes and have never gone onto the court and actually played the game. But they know everything about that call. So as soon as you say, let's meet in person, I can be there in 20 minutes, they go, whoa, I didn't expect that. I live in Never Never Land, social media. Hey man, this is the business we're in. We have to get like professionally intense. Professionally intense, polite, respectful, and professional, but not judgmental, not rude. You know, just be smarter than your competition. And you know what? The one who loses their cool first loses the game. That's why that book, It Takes What It Takes, is so important, because it's all about going from I'm mad, I'm upset, I'm stressed out to neutral. I can't go to reverse to fifth gear in one move, but I can go from reverse, meaning I'm upset, to neutral thinking, to then get me into where I need to be with strategic thinking, not reactionary thinking. That just takes practice. You know, we all have, you know, if you have friends, you know, we do with our friends too, when somebody comes at you and you just react emotionally, you lost. Nothing ever comes good. You have to be empathetic and come from a curious place. And then you go, takeaway closes. That makes perfect sense. Now here's what we have to do. I'll come see you for lunch. How about I buy a cup of coffee and talk to someone? Well, that's real, normal real estate work. And it's exciting because nobody's going to do it. We're all addicted to not doing it. We're all addicted to 3% interest rates. So we take 400 agents in the MLS. I bet if we do the math, 50% of them won't do the deal. What a hell of an opportunity we're sitting in right now. Because I can see it. I can see it coming. I have PTSD from 2008, legitimate. I see it coming, and we can take the market. We'll take it all, because adversity breeds clarity if you let it. The competition doesn't want to talk about it.
One last. Even if you were with anybody, if they do not and say it's not.
I think you have 3 days to get that back to the buyer per the form, right? That's utilities form?
Yeah.
22K. So if you don't, then you have a problem. A voidable. Again, it's not mutual. It can be mutual, but also voidable at the same time. And void and voidable are different. Forcible is also different than voidable or void. So you just have to, it's important. So what we like to do is like, well, my seller doesn't care, my buyer doesn't care. And again, napkins work, handshakes work. We don't need paper for a while. But what about a year from now? I have a deal right now where I'm showing I dropped the price over 100 grand in like last month. I got a call this morning and from an agent in Chelan. She's a good agent. She goes, Russ, is this on septic or sewer? And I said, it's on septic. She goes, well, it says sewer in the MLS. I go, thanks for the heads up. What if I wouldn't have caught that? What if the 22K wasn't filled out? And what if we closed the deal? And about 6 months from now, in the winter time, when the septic fails, that buyer of my listing sues me. Do I win or lose? I lose because I misrepresented the material facts of the house. And it wasn't caught on the 22K because the agents thought it wasn't important.
Or a month after they're there, they have to pay only utilities. Vanessa's not in here, but that gives direction to pay the utility bills and to get it all straight.
Yeah, and you know what else I hear a lot? Well, I've been in the business longer than 2 years, so I don't know why I have to have a compliance department at all. I've been in the business 33 years and I put sewer. Because we're called human. Yeah, more eyes the better, man. Lawsuits suck the life out of you, and your wallet gets empty in a hurry. You know, try to imagine $1,000 an hour. When you get sued, it's not just one lawyer. Do you know what it costs for an expert witness to write a letter for you to substantiate your claim in a lawsuit? Just to write a letter and to show up and testify, which is extra. The letter's $15,000. It's not covered by insurance. It sucks. So anything we can do, when I say 20 closings, that's what I mean. It's like there, we have a deductible for sure, but it can graduate way beyond that. Especially, and if you're found negligent, no insurance. Like grossly negligent, no insurance. If they can prove you did it on purpose, fraud, you lose your license. So these little details matter. And again, it's hard to balance. Give you 100 of them and it's like nothing's happened. I went 30 years and done one. But a lot because I've always, well, my mentor kind of, on me, because I like to write books. I like to write the Form 34. I'm like, that's better than me. I used to write some novels. Yeah, that's the lawsuit form. I like the practicing law and license. You have the right to fill in the blanks on approved forms by an attorney, and you're held accountable to the letter of a lawyer. If you deviate from just filling in the blank, forms approved by attorneys, you are now practicing law.
The closing example should be on the.
And
I get a lot.
and sometimes it's okay. Sometimes do your best to get little. I'm guilty of it too. But if you get in the habit of just doing the right form, all that little language in there is there to protect you. When you deviate from that indemnification, now you're kind of exposed. And mailing usually doesn't happen. It does. Are there some strange people in the world? Anybody else meet them at a high level? I don't know what the hell happened to COVID, but I think the virus is still hanging on with people and it's mutated and losing their minds. They're like really weird and unpredictable or high or drunk or both or all three. So you can't predict that people are actually going to tell you what they say one day, the next day they don't remember telling you. So that's why the in writing stuff, one last thing about journal, when you run into a person that gives your spidey senses, kind of been there, you know, like, arms get a little nervous, you're like, oh, this guy, a little unpredictable. Start journaling that relationship. Because it does matter. Even if it's a verbal conversation and you have a record of it in writing and they don't, and you end up in a courtroom, the jury is most likely going to be. Did I ever tell you the story? Quick story. Pass it. 5 minutes. No, quick story. A friend of mine, my dad's friend, is apple farmer, and my dad, you know, mowed this block, sprayed this block every day for like 2 decades, 3 decades. This guy accused him of something illegal that worked for him. They went to the courtroom, and with him, he brought all the boxes of all the little journals for the last 25 years, every single day. He got the books, he dumped them on the table in front of the judge. Said which year, which day, and which hour would you like me to take it? Judge went, dismissed. Because it was just now at that point an accusation with no evidence. But if you wouldn't have had that, and this guy's a good salesman, ambulance chaser kind of guy, you might lose. Because reality is in court, we're always talking about interpretation of what happened, not what happened. Every courtroom in America is full of people arguing about the same set of facts. Think about that for a minute. We want to avoid all that. We want to go have more fun. Have more fun. Yeah. Any other questions? Marty, not gonna be there, Mom.
Okay, guys, give us a few minutes and then Marcia can get set up.